Okay, well, thank you, Jeff, for that introduction. Welcome, everyone, to today's presentation. There is no formal handout for the presentation. All of the key information and web pages that I mentioned today will be posted in the chat. And before the meeting ends, I'll remind everyone when we're done to save the chat. And as Jeff mentioned, this presentation is being recorded. It'll probably be sometime next week when it gets posted. It'll be on the GFO YouTube channel, and there will also be a link put on the RootsMagic SIG webpage at the GFO site. And all of the links that are posted in the chat will also be posted along with the video. And it will also be available to the general public for viewing. It will not be restricted to GFO members like the SIG meetings are. Let's see. So today I'm going to be focusing on what people relatively new to RootsMagic need to know. Attendees already familiar with RootsMagic may also discover some things you are unaware of due to the multiple ways you can accomplish many actions in RootsMagic. My focus today is going to be on what the software is capable of doing, how to get started, and where to go to get help. And this will provide you with a solid foundation to start from and prepare you to explore the other features RootsMagic has to offer as the need arises. I'm going to spend about 20 minutes on a high-level overview of what RootsMagic can do and give our GFO RootsMagic Special Interest Group, or SIG, a quick plug. Then I'm going to spend about an hour demonstrating the basics of RootsMagic in a live demonstration, to include how to set up the software, how to create a new file, how to enter people, create a family, add facts, media, source citations, and tasks. I won't be demonstrating all the features I mentioned in the overview, nor will I be discussing the pros and cons of doing things one way versus another. These are things we dive into and discuss in great detail during the live demo portion of our monthly SIG meetings. After the live demo, we'll pause to select a winner of today's door prize, a RootsMagic license key donated by the RootsMagic Company. And then I'll address everyone's questions. And please put all of your questions in the chat. And please don't direct message them to me in the chat because I won't have time to read the chat until after the meeting ends. If we run short on time and don't get to your question, or if you prefer to ask it offline, feel free to email me at the RootsMagic SIG email address that's being posted in the chat. I have a couple of disclaimers to get out of the way before continuing. First, I have no affiliation with the RootsMagic Company. I'm just a very knowledgeable user of the software. I purchased my license keys just like everyone else. Everything I say today is my opinion, based on what I know at the moment and subject to change in the future. During the demo, the people I depict as living have been anonymized or are fictitious. And the only factual information about living people I may share is that I do have a spouse, we both have parents, and we have some children. The RootsMagic software runs on both Windows computers running Windows versions 10 and 11, and Mac computers running the Mac OS Monterey, which is version 12, through Tahoe, which is version 26. The user interface is the same on both platforms. RootsMagic does not run on Android, iOS, Chrome, or Linux devices. There's only one software installation, but it can be used in two modes, licensed and unlicensed. The unlicensed mode is called RootsMagic Essentials. It's free to use as long as you want. There's no time limit or data restrictions. Instead, there's feature limitations, which if you never need to use them, you'll never need to purchase a license key. The license key unlocks the feature limitations of the free mode. If you've never purchased a RootsMagic license key before, the license key costs $39.95. If you have purchased a license key for a prior version, the upgrade cost is $29.95. A single license key can be used on up to 6 computers in the same household. There aren't any limitations regarding how many trees, people, generations, etc. that can be stored in a single RootsMagic database file. You can manage your family research data in as many or as few files as you want to. The same database file is used with the licensed and unlicensed versions and computers running the Windows and Mac operating systems. RootsMagic doesn't store media files inside the database file. It stores links to each file's location on your computer. RootsMagic does create and store a thumbnail image in the database file, but the thumbnail images are only used to display the images within the program itself. For actual reports and other outputs, the actual media files are used. And the RootsMagic database file uses an SQLite database. SQLite databases are intended to be used by a single user. Therefore, RootsMagic Tech Support strongly recommends that your database file not be stored in a location that's constantly being synced to the cloud. I'm referring to cloud syncing programs like Dropbox, OneDrive, or Google Drive. If not done properly, both RootsMagic and the syncing software may attempt to access the file at the same time, potentially risking unrecoverable file corruption. All other files used by or created by RootsMagic, like media, backups, files, reports, etc., can be stored in a location that's synced to the cloud if desired. You can find the official list of all RootsMagic features here in the online help under the Getting Started topic. Guess I can't move it up there. Anyway, as you can see, it's a long, detailed list with 3 columns. The first column indicates which features are available in the free RootsMagic Essentials mode, and the second column indicates which features are available in the licensed mode, which is everything on the list. And this is the place to go to see which features are disabled in the free mode. For those of you familiar with version 10, the web page at this link highlights what was added or enhanced in version 11. We don't have time to go through these lists today, but the links in the chat are in the chat, so you can check them out later. This chart lists what I think are the top 20 features of RootsMagic, and rather than attempting to rank order them, I've just listed them in alphabetical order. The features with asterisks are either new or enhanced in version 11. The associations allow you to define a relationship between 2 people that's not based on a specific event or fact, like college friends, neighbors, business partners, landlord, tenant, etc. With color coding, you can define up to 10 different color code sets to apply to people. Each set has 27 different colors available to choose from, plus no color at all. A person can have 1 color from each of the 10 color sets applied to them, but only 1 color set can be displayed at a time. But it's very easy to quickly switch between them when desired. And RootsMagic can support complex family relationships. You can assign more than 1 set of parents to a child, allowing you to depict multiple family relationship situations like biological, adopted, foster child, etc. You can also define same-sex couples. The life summary listing allows you to see all of these family relationships in the same information area. CountyCheck is a tool you can turn on to help verify, based on an event date, the existence of a historical county and state location when recording a place, and ensure place names are properly capitalized, don't contain abbreviations, and are complete. If it thinks there may be an issue with the place entry, it will prompt you with a suggestion of what it believes is the correct place name for that date and why. You still get to decide whether to continue with what you've entered or use the suggestion. This tool works very well for early US counties and states, but not quite as good for UK, Canada, and Australia locations, which are also supported. RootsMagic contains a lot of tools to help clean up and maintain your database file. There are tools to check and clean up the internal SQLite database itself, plus a variety of tools to help alert you to potential problems to review, like a child born before a parent's birth or after a parent's death. If it thinks you're about to enter a new person that it thinks you may already have entered in your database, it'll alert you. And tools that will search for issues with people's names and place names that may require cleaning up, confirming media file links point to an actual file, identifying unused places, source citations, media, and tasks, and it can help find and merge duplicate data. The drag and drop function allows you to copy the data for one or more people from one file and drop it into another file, along with each person's linked facts, source citations, media, etc. And as you'll see during the demo, as I switch between what are referred to as pages, each page stays as it was when I last left it, waiting for me to return and pick up where I left off. And there are 64 built-in fact types that cover most of the common facts and events a genealogist typically assigns to a person or a couple. Each fact type has a sentence template that's used when creating narrative reports. If you import data from another source, any new fact types are automatically created. You can also create your own custom fact types to use for recording additional types of events in a person's life, or perhaps tracking status information you want to be able to search for later. And you can decide whether or not you want these types of facts included in reports or not. You can create your own or modify the built-in sentence templates to tailor what you end up with when you create narrative reports. You can also define supporting roles for a fact type so that you can share a fact with other people that were present at the event, like a witness or an officiant at a marriage, or a spouse, son, and or daughter in a census household. You can copy or move a fact to other people, along with all the facts tagged information. You can also add a fact to everyone in a predefined group of people. The same way you can color code people that meet certain criteria, you can create groups of people by either selecting individuals or filtering sets of people that meet rules that you define. Groups can be used to apply color coding, view people lists limited to members in a group, and define which people to include in reports, etc. You have the ability to record both health and DNA match information for people. This data is kept separate from the person's facts and source citations, etc. Once recorded, you can run health reports to identify possible family hereditary conditions, people with the same health condition, even if not a relative. You can create leads, method, and kinship list reports from the shared DNA data entered. Unfortunately, in its current implementation, entering shared DNA data must be done manually for each DNA match. Because of this, I think it's better to only record post-analysis DNA match data rather than trying to use RootsMagic as a DNA research analysis tool. However, if you're not savvy with a spreadsheet, you may find this is a great DNA research analysis tool. At this time, neither the health nor the shared DNA data can be exported outside of RootsMagic other than via the reports I mentioned. Once set up, you can digitally exchange data back and forth with both Ancestry and Family Search. Each of these interfaces is controlled by the respective company. As a result, the way you interface with each site from within RootsMagic and the data you can exchange is different. Also, Ancestry does not allow Ancestry DNA information to be passed through their interface, including DNA matches that you've attached to your Ancestry tree. You can also select a person in your database and open that person's profile page at Ancestry and/or Family Search in a separate browser window. And the AI prompt builder can assist you in creating prompts that includes your data about people in your database that can be copy-pasted into your favorite AI tool. Excuse me. Although you can't run the full RootsMagic program on an iOS device, there is a free RootsMagic app available at the Apple Store that you can install on iOS devices like an iPhone or an iPad. And you can upload a special version of your database file and use your iOS device for offline read-only viewing of your file. Unfortunately, there's no longer a similar app for Android devices. As I mentioned, the RootsMagic database file itself is an unencrypted SQLite database file. If you're tech savvy and you have the skills and appropriate third-party tools, you can read and write to the database file outside of RootsMagic, allowing you to do things you can't do from within RootsMagic. If you're not a techie, this capability is not for you, since not knowing what you're doing can end up permanently corrupting your database file, and for this reason is not recommended or supported by RootsMagic technical support. But there is a third-party group out there that supports people that want to pursue it. You can have up to 4 different database files open, each in its own window. You can also have up to 3 separate edit person windows open at the same time. And then RootsMagic To-Go is a tool allowing you to place a copy of the RootsMagic program along with a copy of your database onto a thumb drive. You can then plug this thumb drive into a computer, like at a library, and work on your database without having to install RootsMagic on the computer. It will run from the thumb drive. When you return home, before doing any more work, you just overwrite the database file on your home computer with the one that was on your thumb drive to avoid losing your work. And there's a variety of search capabilities that exist in RootsMagic, and you can use the same rules capability available for creating groups to do advanced searches to generate a list of people that meet your criteria. You can go down, select a person, open their edit window, close it, and then continue down the list. You can save the search results to a file. You can save the search rules to run the same search again later. You can create a rules-based group that uses the same set of rules that you used in the advanced search. You can select a person, switch to the web search, and search for records using the data entered in your database for that person as the search criteria at most online record sites. You can use the Find Everywhere search tool to enter keywords and search your entire database, and the result list will provide links to where that data can be viewed and edited. And finally, there's a search and replace tool where you can search specific data field types for a text string and replace it with a different text string. RootsMagic provides several ways to share your research with others. There are over 40 different built-in report and chart types, plus a custom report capability that allows you to create tailored lists of information. In addition to printing reports or saving them as PDF file, they can also be saved in several other file formats for editing using third-party software. Word and text files for document reports, Excel and comma-separated variable files for list reports, SVG, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphics files for charts. You can create a free distributable shareable drive by loading a read-only copy of RootsMagic, your database file, and all linked media files onto a thumb drive. RootsMagic provides the ability to create a free family tree website on the RootsMagic web server. It's done from within RootsMagic, and you can control who has access, and you're limited to 200 megabytes of free space. If you want to host your family tree on a web server of your choice, you can also generate a set of HTML web pages from your database using RootsMagic. And there's a book publisher tool that allows you to define a set of front material and specific reports and charts to include. And you can insert blank pages if you want to insert additional external information. And when run, the publisher tool assembles all the pieces into a single book with indices, which, like all other reports and charts, can be printed or can be saved to a file for further editing in a word processor like Word. And you can export data to a GEDCOM file. And RootsMagic currently supports GEDCOM version 5.5.1. You can add source citation data using more than 400 built-in source types, which are fill-in-the-blank forms, and they convert the entered data into footnotes, short footnotes, and bibliographies for reports, using source templates that define the data fields and controlling the formatting of the data. They're based on several different published style guides, or you can create your source citations from scratch and paste them into the freeform source type. Or you can create your own custom source types and templates using the sentence template language. In RootsMagic, tasks are like post-it notes. Tasks allow you to document anything you want to revisit at a later date, or record something for future historical reference that's separate from the information that appears in genealogical reports. Tasks can be tagged to one or more items in your database. You can update task status as desired, They can be grouped into project folders, which can be treated like a research project. They can be searched by filtering on a variety of criteria, including containing specific text, and task filters can be saved for future reuse. And finally, you can elect to receive WebHints from any or all of the 4 big online record sites: Ancestry, Family Search, Find My Past, and MyHeritage. You don't need to pay a paid subscription to any of these sites to receive their hints, but not having a subscription at a site may limit what you can see or do regarding accessing the suggested record or family tree hints at these sites. Of course, Family Search is always free. In order to get web hints from Ancestry or Family Search, you do need a free account at each site, the connection to your people at their site established, and RootsMagic logged into your account. Hints from Find My Past and MyHeritage don't require connecting to their sites with a personal account. So the last topic I want to mention before switching to the live demo is our RootsMagic SIG. It's an open forum for users of all experience levels. Our goal is to learn and help others through live demonstrations and discussion about how RootsMagic can be used to support our family research. We meet virtually on the first Monday of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific time. The meetings are scheduled for 2 hours. Like all GFO SIGs, our meetings are free and open to the general public. And we just started recording our SIG meetings. And unlike today's recording, which will be available on the GFO YouTube channel for public viewing, the SIG meeting recordings are only accessible by GFO members. This is our standing agenda. I typically spend more than 3/4 of each meeting doing live demonstrations. Unlike today's presentation, where I'm holding all questions until the end, during our SIG meetings, I pause throughout the meetings to address questions on the topic being presented. And we end every meeting with an open Q&A on anything about RootsMagic. We don't end the meeting until all questions and problems have been addressed, and sometimes this means we go over our scheduled 2 hours. If interested in attending our SIG meetings, you can visit our GFO SIG webpage using the link posted in the chat. And our next meeting is on April 6th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. The SIG is working its way through the table of contents of the online help, which can be found here. We just started the Working with Sources section this month. I'm guessing we'll probably be on this topic for the rest of 2026. That's because we spend as much time and as many meetings as it takes to go through each topic in detail. I demonstrate all functions and features, and when applicable, I show the many different ways the same action can be performed. I also discuss how using some of the features may require a trade-off in being able to use other features. The goal is to provide the information necessary so each SIG member can make informed decisions regarding what will work best for them to meet their desired goals when it comes to documenting their family history. We also have a SIG handout document. It can be downloaded from the SIG webpage. It contains information that supplements the online help. It's a living document that continues to grow in size as we cover each new topic area. It currently contains over 80 pages of supplemental information. Okay, now it's time to go switch to the live demo. So if you give me a second here. So to get started, you get the software by downloading it from the internet. This is the RootsMagic website. Note that there are 4 buttons. Excuse me. When you click on the Buy Now, here's where you can choose whether you're buying a new license or you qualify for the upgrade. I would say don't waste your money getting the USB drive unless you really want a souvenir thumb drive that says RootsMagic on it. Because most likely what arrives on this, you'll still have to go download the latest version of the software. And then after you make your purchase, you'll receive an email that'll contain your license key and a link to download to the download page. The Try It Free button takes you to where you can, if you've never used RootsMagic before, I always recommend you just start with the free version and play with it and see if it works for you before spending any money. You come in here, and as you see, you don't even have to fill in the info about you. And then from here, clicking on the blue button will download the recommended version for your computer and the operating system that's on it. For Windows computers, the web page defaults to the downloading the 32-bit version of the software. All Windows computers sold in the last 20 years or so are 64-bit computers, and there is a 64-bit version of RootsMagic that's available. If you need to import files from legacy software, you must use the 32-bit version. The 32-bit software runs fine on 64-bit computers, but if you want to install the 64-bit version, instead of clicking on the blue button, you'd show the other downloads here, and then there's a link to download the 64-bit version. For Mac users, there's only one option to download, and it'll be the one that shows up here. If you're on a Mac, down here it'll all be Mac. There's only one option to download, and it will install the proper configuration based on the type of processor your computer has inside. And then the third button, if you want to buy the book, and I'll talk about this a little more later, you can click here, and it provides down here a list of the proper Amazon web pages, depending on the country that you're in, to purchase the book. An updated book is released for each new version of RootsMagic. So rather than risk selecting the wrong version at Amazon, I recommend that you start from this RootsMagic webpage to ensure you end up ordering the correct version at Amazon. The book itself is printed on demand by Amazon, which is why the only place that you can buy the book is through Amazon. As I said, I'll have a little bit more to say about the book later. And the fourth button, what's new, this will take you to the information about what was added or enhanced when version 11 was released. And I provided the link in the chat during the overview section, so I'm not going to bother clicking on that. So at this point, you'd have installed the downloaded software. And if you had a previous version installed, the installations windows will prompt you to see if you want to keep the old version installed or have it removed. Each version of RootsMagic functions as a completely separate program, but the database files used with the older versions from version 8 and later do get converted when you initially open them in a newer version. And once the file's been converted, it can no longer be used with the older version of the software. So if you do want to keep an older version and be able to access the database file as it currently exists, you need to remember to make a copy of your database file before opening it in the new version. Excuse me. So we assume that we now have RootsMagic installed, and it will look like this, but there will be a window pop up prompting you to enter your license key. And if you have the license key, you can enter it and make sure that you register it. That way, if you need to install RootsMagic on another computer in the future and you can't find your license key, you can contact RootsMagic and they'll resend it to the email address that you have on record for the registration. And if you don't have a license key, then just clear the window. Every time you restart RootsMagic, the window will pop up just in case you decided to buy the license key. You can just enter it at that point, and then it'll unlock the features. So looking at the home page, or the black area over here is where all the what we call pages show up. So this would be the home page. And by the end of today, we'll go through all of them. Since we don't have a file open yet, the area of the homepage on the left shows the options for creating or opening a file. And once a file is open, this same area will change and it will display the file properties for the currently open file. These file options can also be found on the file page, and we'll take a look at the file page again a little later after we've created a file. So we'll come back here. So the key announcements issued by RootsMagic will show up here in the news section. The updates area over here, when an update is issued by RootsMagic for the current version that you have, the home tab here will flash gold and yellow, and over here it will inform you that there's a new version that you can click to update, and then it will go install it for you. You can also, where this arrow is, you can click on this and it will take you to a web page that will tell you what changes were made in that particular update to the version. All updates for the current version are free, and the updates are only issued for the current or the latest version of the software. So when version 12 comes out, they will stop issuing updates for version 11, which is the current version. And the help and support area has a bunch of useful links. In RootsMagic, when you see these arrows off on the side, indicating that clicking on that field will take you somewhere. I'm sharing the destination URLs for all of these links in the chat so that those of you that might want to explore them prior to installing the software can do so. The online help entry here opens the same page that we were looking at earlier. This is where all of the RootsMagic screens, features, and tools are described, and most of your questions can be answered. And note that you have the ability up here to search for keywords, and it will give you a list of where those keywords are used across all of the web pages in the online help. In the table of contents, the Getting Started section, it contains links to a lot of the information I've already mentioned. The introduction goes down, and all these steps on how to download and install the software can be found here. And then the RootsMagic interface is where all the information on all the main windows in RootsMagic are described. And then down here under the basics is a listing of all the basic actions you might want to do when you're just starting to use the software. And all of these links will take you to pages within this working with the various types of data, which is where all the details can be found. But they've grouped the more intro level stuff here. And then you have the same thing for all of the main pages and other functions. So, but you don't have to go to the home page to get help. On all of the primary windows, you can click on the three dots and help is at the top. But you don't even need to do that, because if you press the F1 key, it automatically will open up the online help, and it will take you to a page relevant to where you are in RootsMagic when you press the F1 key. So if I'm on the settings page, and I'm on the folder settings, so it took me to folder settings. Let's clear some of these. And if you learn by watching videos, the webinars conducted by RootsMagic when version 11 was originally released can be found here. And compared to the prior versions, version 8 implemented a significant change in the user interface. And there are also links to some YouTube videos released by family history fanatics at around the same time. The RootsMagic TV is, that's the link that takes you to RootsMagic's YouTube channel. Each new feature added to a version of RootsMagic before and after the release of version 8 has a YouTube video about that new feature. Although the functions added in version 7 and earlier depict the older user interface, the functionality in terms of what you can do and most of the steps of how to do it have not changed much. And unless, of course, there's a newer video for that function because it was determined that the changes were significant enough to warrant making a new video. And when referring to the older videos, you just have to learn where in the newer version the function is located to initiate it, and that can typically be easily done by doing a keyword search in the online help. The online community has over 5,200 registered users. All community posts are visible to the public, so you can lurk without even registering an account if desired, but you can't post a question or respond to one without an account. In the technical support, RootsMagic tech support is only available online. It's free lifetime support for licensed users, regardless of what version you use. If you have an old version, even though they stopped issuing software updates, they continue to provide tech support to answer your questions and help determine the cause of any issues you may encounter. There is no phone technical support. For people that are not comfortable purchasing a license online, they do offer sales via phone. If you do a Google search and you find a site with phone support for RootsMagic, it's not RootsMagic you're contacting, and it's probably a scam. There's also a knowledge base addressing common situations. The online chat is available during their normal work hours, which are Monday through Friday Mountain Time. You can also submit queries via their online request system and get responses via email. Their system keeps a historical log of all the requests you submit from your account. And during off hours, the online chat system will automatically take you to their online request system. Or if you prefer, you can email them. In addition to all of the help and support links found on the homepage, RootsMagic also administers a private Facebook group called RootsMagic Users. There are over 25,000 members in the group. And because it's a private group, only members can view posts made by other members and RootsMagic tech support. Both the online community and the Facebook group are quite active and a great way to get the majority of your questions answered for things you can't find online in the online help, or to submit software enhancement suggestions. I've been helping people in the Facebook group for 5 years now. If you learn better by holding a book in your hands rather than navigating the free online help, as I mentioned earlier, there's a RootsMagic book you can buy using the link at the RootsMagic website. It's only sold through Amazon and it's $19.95. In my opinion, you won't find a significant difference between the information found in the book versus the online help. The book can be held in your hand. You can write in it. You can put post-it notes in it. The online version, you can search using keywords, and if desired, you can download it and view it offline on any device with a web browser. And depending on how you work best, maybe the paper manual will be a better tool for you, and that's a personal choice. So now that the software has been installed, I also recommend users set up the program level settings before creating their first file. But if you haven't, don't worry about it. But you'd go to the settings page, program view. Each of these buttons across are called views, page views. And here you can tailor how the program behaves by the settings you choose for each settings page view. You can refer to the SIG handout found on the GFO SIG webpage for my recommendations on some of these settings. The other view here is the folders view. These folder settings tell RootsMagic what folder you want the program to use as the default when opening a window to find or save a file. Again, you can refer to the SIG handout for my recommendations on some of these settings. I've taken the liberty of presetting these to point to a set of folders specific to today's open house session to keep it looking like what you'd see as a new user. Plus, it keeps everything separate from all the files I use at our monthly SIG meetings and my personal research. So now we're ready to create a new database file. So I'll go to the files page, and here's where all the file related tools are located. So I'm going to select create a new RootsMagic file. I'm going to select empty file. And notice it has highlighted the default folder location, which was set under folder settings. I can choose somewhere else if I want by clicking on the browse for destinations down here, but I'm going to confirm our default location. Now I assign it a file name. We'll call this one 2026 Open House. And then I click Save. And it presents some program setting options that were on the settings view that we just looked at. I'm going to turn on the number to display to show me the record number in the database. That'll display after people's names. And I like to see surnames in uppercase. And I'm going to activate the family search, family tree support, and I'm going to leave the WebHints enabled. I'm going to click OK. And we now have our empty database file created. Notice over here, we have a lot more pages on the left side in the black area because we now have a database file open. Every time you create a new file, I recommend you go back to the settings page and verify the file specific settings are set the way you want them for the file. And if you'll notice, there was only 2 views up here before we had a file. Now that we have a file open, there's a lot more views. And most of these are file specific settings that get saved inside the file. So we'll start with the general settings. And if you go down the list here, you'll see that some of these, like the surname uppercase, number to display, the WebHints or the family search support are all active. So some of the settings that were on, or well, actually all of the settings that were on that pop-up window are settings that are on one of these views here, and you can go in and change them at any time you want. And again, you can refer to the SIG handout for recommendations on some of these settings. The display, you can change the theme color, currently set to green, and some of the other things. I'm going to change this setting from 120 to 140, just so that everyone, it'll be larger font. I'm going to have to restart the program for that setting to take place. Close it. Right back up. And probably can. And this is the one we just created. So now we're at, and we'll go back to settings. And so now that everything should be a little bit bigger and a little bit easier for everybody to see. So the other, let's see, we were on displays, prepare for reports. This is prepare information that can be included in reports. The WebHint view, here's where you can enable or disable WebHinting from all 4 of the companies. And then if you're a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, you can enable the LDS support options. But if you're not a member of the LDS, you just leave that unchecked and you won't get bombarded with stuff that you don't know what it's for. And so now we'll go back to the home page quickly, and you see over here we now have file properties. You can see all of the different statistics that get reported here as you work in your database. And we'll take another look at the file page, which had these before, and now it has these additional operations that you can perform on the currently open file. And now we're going to switch to the people page. And the people page is where most of your data entry work occurs. So now let's go enter some data. When you build your family tree, you usually start with yourself. So, and then you add your parents. So we'll go add a person. We'll just call them me GFO, and we'll make this one a male. And I'm going to leave the living box checked. And so just a quick word. So RootsMagic's default settings ensure that everyone you add is coded as living unless you take the action to uncheck the box and declare that they are deceased. Or one of the following pieces of factual information gets entered for the person. A death or a burial fact, or a birth or christen fact is added with a date that's more than 105 years ago. If either of these criteria are met, then RootsMagic will automatically uncheck the living box when the triggered fact is added to the person. But if they're less than 105 years old when you enter it, and 5 years later they are more than 105, RootsMagic does not automatically change the living setting. You have to go back to the person and do some work for it to trigger that action. So anyway, if you do encounter someone that is actually still living and they're more than 105 years old, you need to remember that you need to go back and recheck the box after RootsMagic unchecks it. So we're going to close the window. And now that we have someone, we're going to add their father. And it comes up with a surname. It assumes the surname of the child is the surname of the father. And this time, notice it filled in the sex field as male because we clicked on the father button. It assumes the father is male. However, if that's not true, you can always change it to female or unknown if they have one of the unusual family relationships. And click OK. So now we have the father created. And you notice that I didn't enter a given name in RootsMagic to add a person. The bare minimum you need is either something in the given name or the surname field. You do not have to fill in both or any other information. Now we're going to add the mother and call her mom. Surname is Gurney. And notice that now it's female because we're adding the mother. We clicked on the mother button. We'll create Mom Gurney. Now I'm going to add some people to Mom Gurney's paternal line. We're going to add her father. And his name's Guy. Surname's Gurney. He's a male. I'm going to leave the living box checked. But this time, I'm going to go ahead and enter birth information. And I'm going to enter his death information. And in RootsMagic, you can enter the cause of death in the description field, and the way the sentence template is set up, it will integrate that into the narrative sentence that's generated for the death fact. And finally, we're going to go down to the burial. And even though I know the cemetery, that typically goes into the place details field. However, on this form, when you're initially adding a person, you can enter the fact, but you can't add place details. That has to be added once the person and the facts have been entered. So we're going to click OK to save it. And then lo and behold, we get the pop-up from CountyCheck, which has been running in the background because it was turned on in the settings page. And based on the internal places databases that CountyCheck uses, it's suggesting a change. I have Corinth, Saratoga, and you'll notice that I intentionally left Saratoga lowercase, but it's saying, hey, you shouldn't be using abbreviations, but so you should put New York, and you left the country off, and that it's recommending putting in the United States. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, you're right. And it's showing me again, this one is because of the death entry where I did have it capitalized, but again, I didn't spell out the state and I didn't have a country. I'll go ahead and make that change. And so now Guy's been created, the birth and death and the burial facts have been created. But if you notice, I didn't get a prompt for the burial place. And that's because the CountyCheck only looks at county, state, and country. So it's only evaluating Saratoga, and it didn't give it quite enough information for it to be able to be confident that that Saratoga is actually in the state of New York in the country of the United States. And as a result, it does nothing because it can't help. And so if I go into the burial and I come up to the place, and now I'm going to put a comma, and you notice as soon as I put a comma, now it's showing me places already in the database that might be the one that I want. And as it turns out, this first entry is the one we corrected, but you also notice that the one with the lowercase s is in our database. So I'm going to pick the one that should be right, and then I'm going to put the cemetery in. Click the check mark to save everything, and now it's been updated over here. Now, I'm going to go fix the place issue because I don't want that Corinth with the lowercase s in Saratoga to keep popping up, because I'll probably pick it in error some point in the future. So I can come over to the places page. And this is listing all of the places that are currently entered in the database, and I can find, here's the one with the typo. And I want to kind of underscore that the preferred practice is to always consider merging data before jumping to the conclusion that deleting something and re-entering it is the first thing you should try to fix a problem. The first try should be thinking about merging with the right answer so that you don't lose any links that you may have already established, which in this case we haven't. But so, and also this one up here was also corrected to this one. So if I say this is the one I want to keep, I can come up here and I can merge places, and it's prompting me to select the places I want to merge with it. So I can select both of these and I can click OK. And all the if they had been linked to anything, all of those links would be transferred over to this entry. And if they had place details, those place details would be added to this place entry. So no data is lost by merging them. And I don't have to do any rekeying of any information. So now we go back to the people page, and lo and behold, we had left Guy's edit window open. It's disappeared, but it's really not gone. It's just hidden behind the main screen. If you're working in a if you work in a full screen mode all the time, rather than doing what I just did to move it over here, because over here now I can just kind of click on it to bring it forward. But You'll also see guys down here. This is telling you that, hey, you've got guys edit window. You can click here and it will also bring it up to the front. And I move it over to the side. I have two monitors set up, so I've got enough real estate. And that way, depending on where my mouse cursor is on the screen at any point in time, I can decide whether it's faster, shorter to go to the bottom left or to go wherever it is that I move the edge of the edit window into the area that I can see and grab it. So let's look at guy's info here and notice that his living box is now unchecked because he has a death record. And when these are so RootsMagic automatically uncheck that. And had we not entered these because his birth date is more than 105 years old, it still would have unchecked it. So now we need to enter some source data that I have for these facts. So, yeah, okay. So I'm going to add a source citation. And so to add a citation, I could click where the pen is. That's the icon for sources. I could click there and initiate it, or I can come over here and I can click on the sources box. And then I can say, hey, I want to add a source citation. And then the window opens. And if there was already sources attached to this fact, they would be listed. I'm sorry, they would be listed over here. I click on the add source citation and I can either collect, if one existed, I could go find it, or I can add a brand new one. And by clicking on add, now I have the list of the 400 plus source types to go find one. And I'm going to go find one that's for web. And we're going to go use the website as a book. I pick that, click next. And whoops, I went back too fast. Let me go back here. I skipped something. So when you select one here, you'll notice that things are changing over. So when I select website as a book, there's a description of the source type here. Some of them are a bit cryptic, but it's to give you some clues as to what the intent based on the style guide reference, which is what this cryptic stuff down here is telling you where, what published style guides were used to create the template that this source type is based on, so that you can decide whether you're looking at the right one or you need to keep looking for something that's more appropriate. And that starts to play into how generic or how specific your approach to source citations is, which is why we're going to be spending most of this year talking about sources in our SIG meetings this year. So anyway, we go to the website as a book. And oh, one other thing, the source types that are based on evidence explained are based on the format and quick models that you can find in the first through third editions. The fourth edition that was released in 2024 no longer talks about the quick models, and all of the page references and section numbering has changed. So there's not a one-to-one correlation with the latest evidence explained guidance and the templates as they exist in RootsMagic, as a heads up. So we're now looking at what's called the master source, and that the data that's entered in here will be part of every citation that we create that uses this source. The source name field can be whatever you want it to be. We're doing a find a grave. So we'll just call it find a grave. And the creator is find a grave. And so here's and the URL is find a grave. And you can, if you have other things, depending on the style guide and what you feel is appropriate, you can put additional supplemental information that does not show up in the actual source citation down here. And then when you're ready, you can click next, and then it takes you to add the actual citation for the specific place that you're linking it. And for so this is the citation name, similar to the source name. It's only used to help you organize the lists of sources, and in this case, citations for the specific master source. But for citation names, you have two options. You can either assign your own, or you can let RootsMagic assign it for you. If you let RootsMagic assign it for you, it takes all of the data you enter below in the citations details section, and it puts them all in sequence up here, separated by semicolons. So you don't have to do any typing, but you have to live with the process and methodology that RootsMagic uses, so that becomes your choice. So I'm going to leave it blank so you can see it. The access type, you see over here, it says, well, the default is access. So if the access type is accessed, I actually don't need to enter anything. It's going to assume that it's accessed. And then access date, I'm going to go 6/17. And notice I'm putting the date format in like this. And then as soon as I leave the field, it's reformatted the date to the date format that's specified as a setting in the settings page. And then the item of interest, just to get make sure I don't make any typos. So put that in. Again, you can put in research notes, comments, and if you have your own filing system for source or citation records, you can put that in here. Note down here, it's showing you what the full footnote, short footnote, and bibliography citations would look like based on the data entered in the master source and the citation details. And if I were to change or put in downloaded instead of accessed, if you look down here where it says accessed, as I start typing, it's immediately responding based on what I'm entering at that time. So you can get real-time feedback when you're on this page as to exactly what it's going to look like down here, so you can confirm that you're entering what the template is expecting you to enter, so that it reads correctly. And so then I'm going to click OK. And now I have the source citation. I'm going to just, whoops. Yeah. So the name, as you see, is downloaded, semicolon, then it has the date, and then it has the item of interest text. And so that it will appear like that. So now we need to add this citation to some other facts. So when I'm over here, this is the memorize button. So I'm going to memorize this citation, and then I can go to my birth fact, which is also based on that. I can come over here, I can click paste, and it says, well, do you want to reuse it or paste a copy? And reuse means you're going to use the exact, you're not going to create a new citation. You're going to create a second link pointing back to the same citation. That way, if I ever need to modify the citation for these two facts, I just have to make one change and it will be reflected in both places that it's used. Whereas if I paste a copy, it actually makes a separate identical copy that if I edit the copy, it does not affect the original. And in this case, I want to reuse it and reuse it. And I actually, well, I'll leave it there, but I actually did not intend to put the source up here. I had intended to put it down here, but let's get rid of it up here. Yeah, my bad. So that gives citations for Guy, and now we will, let's see where we, okay. Do a little quick time check here. Okay, so now we're going to add a marriage fact. I'm just going to put MAR in there to get it down. I usually only use about 3 letters to go search, and it usually gives me what I want. So Guy doesn't have a spouse yet, so we're going to add a spouse, which opens up the add a spouse window, and you can, if the person's already in the database, you can add them. And in this case, it's not in here yet. So her name is Grace. Whoops. Man. And since Guy is already in and he's a male, it assumes it's a female. So instead of putting the data in here like I did for Guy, I'm going to show you the other way you can do it and just create Grace. We'll finish the marriage. We need a date on June 6th. And notice how it's spelling out the month, even though I only put in 3 letters and I didn't capitalize the J. Please. And you'll notice as I'm typing things in down here, you can see the sentence template as to what it's going to, in a narrative report, how it would read down here. And then I'm going to go ahead and you see these dots are showing that this is new data that has not been saved yet. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. And now CountyCheck is coming back and said, hey, we think it should be one of these to spell out the state. And here, and this first one is actually the one I want. So I'm going to go pick that. And if I quickly go back over here to places, you'll notice that unlike the before where all the Corinth Saratogas showed up, we don't see those incorrect entries over here. And that's because before, when you're adding a person, you add those facts concurrent with adding the new person. RootsMagic has to save all that data to the database before it can move to the edit window. And CountyCheck can't evaluate the data until it's in the edit window. And so the data got saved and then CountyCheck flagged it. Here, you're on the edit window, and so it can look at it as you're trying to save it and flag it ahead of being saved. So that's one of the nuances of where to enter facts and the difference. On the flip side, you have to enter each fact separately from this screen, whereas you can go down the list on the other method. So it's, whichever works for you best. So then let's see. So I don't have a marriage certificate. The information I have was passed down verbally, so I'm going to add a task to remind me that I need to track down a copy of the marriage certificate. And so I'm going to go click here, I'm going to add a task, and we're going to say, okay, get a marriage certificate. I can come over here to the calendar. I can pick today's date. Don't have to do any typing. And then I can here, I can put in what it is I need to do. And then under results, I can just make a note of what I've already done so that the next time I come back to go work on this, it'll refresh my memory of what I've already did and when I did it, so that I don't end up researching the same things that I've already done and I go look in other places. And so now you see over here, there's these little icons are telling you that there are sources for these, and here's a task for this one. Okay, so let's go look at the pedigree view, and we don't see Guy, we don't see Grace as the mother of Mom. If I select Guy, we can see that the system's saying he's got two spouses. If I click here, one's unknown and the other one is Grace. And when you see unknown, that doesn't mean there's a record in here for the unknown spouse. It means there isn't anything. That's just the way it conveys the lack of a record for a person. And if I switch to Grace, we see Grace and Guy, but they don't have any children. Another way to look at this is I can come over here to descendants of Guy, and now it shows me both spouses, and it shows that the mom is a child of the unknown spouse, and then we have me, and then we have Grace with no children. So this is telling you that Guy has an unknown spouse and Grace, and then Mom and GFO have me, GFO, as their child. I can also come over here to the family view and see the mother, father, and here's me. If I go and I look at Guy, here's Mom, but we don't have the wife. And if I switch to Grace, we don't have the child. I can also come over here and switch this to what's called the life summary, which lists all of the facts that we have for the selected person, in this case, Guy. Down here, I can see both spouses and which one has a child. So in this case, I could come over here and I can add a child under Grace. And select an existing one. And I could just pick Mom Gurney from here, but I also know that she's number 3, and you can search by record numbers, which is very helpful when you have a lot of people in your database and you don't like to do a lot of typing. So now Guy and Grace, Mom is their child, but Mom is still over here. So if we flip to the unknown spouse, I could up here, I can unlink I'm sorry. If I go to the child, I can unlink from the parents, and it will unlink the parents that is currently being shown here. And if I come back up here, I can do the same thing by selecting the three dots over here, and I can unlink this person, and it'll only take the action on the one that we're currently looking at. It pops up to confirm it's father's guide. There is no mother. I can unlink, and now we're back. And if I go select guy, now he only has one spouse, and mom is their child. So linking issues is one of the more common issues that people encounter using RootsMagic because of our tendency to add a mother and father one at a time from the pedigree view, rather than defining them as a set of parents or a couple. And this works fine for the couple's first child, but it continually fails if you're adding more additional children to the same couple. But that's not what happened here today. The root cause of what just happened was we added mom as a child of their father, Guy, before we created the parents' marriage fact. And RootsMagic will never make an assumption that children already linked to one parent should be linked to the couple created when you enter a marriage fact. It will always defer that to you. The way to have avoided this would have been to add the spouse to Guy before entering the marriage fact, and then you could have added the spouse as the mother of the child, and then gone into either Guy or the mother and added the marriage fact afterwards. Okay, so now we're going to add an association to Guy. What am I doing to wrap this up? So an association here, you can add an association. In this case, what we want are neighbors, and his neighbor's name, his new guy, his name's John Smith. And then, so you can create a relationship between two people that's not dependent on a specific event. In this case, it might be some fan research that you're doing, and you want to make sure you don't forget that John was a neighbor of Guy as you explore John's ancestry to see whether there's some connection, because they've been in the same area for decades as neighbors. And it's a rural area, and there's probably a high probability that there may be some additional family ties, and you just haven't discovered them yet. Given the time, I am going to skip a bunch of stuff. So if I were to want to add a media file or a thumbnail image for Guy that would show up here rather than these avatars, I can come over here to the media. I can add media. I can add new media. I can click in here, click on this icon. I can go find media file. I can, this is saving the link. And then what is that? Stop. Yeah, so you have to click this primary box to make it the primary photo when you're attaching it to a person. And then when you do that, and then I close this, it then saves it in the primary photo attached to the person, then will will replace the avatar that they call them here. And then when you're on the family view and the pedigree view, it'll show up here. And then the same image will be used in some of the reports where the primary photo for the person is included. And let's see, I think we'll continue on. So then on the places page, we already talked about things you can do here. There's another view, mapping, where you can map locations, where you can map people and their events. There's no reports that will include these maps. You can just grab screen captures or use some other third-party software and the data that you can put out in if you geocode it, then you can use that as well. There's lots of tools that you can use to clean up places. These pages here are where you manage the data that you've already entered in the database. Most of it you end up adding and hanging on or linking to the people. But as your list of data that you have, you come to the places to go manage the place data. And you can do, normally you put the historical place name field, you can put in today's current location if it's changed over time. And then you can geocode latitude, longitude, and there's tools to help you try and do that. And the geocoding would represent what today's location is called. And then you can add additional data here as well. And from here, you can click on the used field and it'll show you everywhere in the database that's linking to the selected place. And so you can pick one of these and you can actually click on the edit and it will take you to where that link exists if you want to go edit it or something else about that person. And then you can go on to the sources page. And again, this is where you would manage your sources. And we have one citation, which is here. And here you can kind of see the citation name format. And this is how all of the find a grave citations for the source would have the same format. So you can kind of look down at in this location to see the different people's names if you wanted. And you can come over here and click on the used and see where each of the citations is used. And over here, you can actually add links, link this citation to other things from here, or you can go edit the item like I showed, or you can edit the link as well. And then we got the media page, and this will show you all the media that you have brought into the program. And then over here where it says tags, it's kind of like used on the other items. It's showing you where the selected item is being used in the database. And so when you are on a person's edit screen, if I were to delete this from here, I'm not deleting the media file from the database. I'm deleting the link from the media file in the database location in the database. I'm deleting the link to Guy Gurney only. When I'm on the media page, if I delete from here, I'm removing it from the database, and everywhere that it's linked in the database will also disappear. It's a key thing. When you delete things from the places or any of these pages, you're deleting it from the database. When you're on the people page and you're editing a person, when you delete something, you're deleting the link to whatever it is that item is attached to for that person. Let's see, we did media. So tasks, same thing. You got a list of tasks, various tools and filters to go find things. You can come back up in here and you can update your status anytime you want. And you can attach media sources, etc., as references for when you do decide that you're going to go work on one of these tasks in the future. Addresses, there's two views. Addresses allows you to kind of build a contact list if you want, like a Rolodex, for people you communicate with for genealogy, if you want to include all of that in your database. It's not necessary, but it's there if you want to use it. And then repositories is basically location information for where sources are repositories that hold sources, either where you found things or places you need to go to, and then you can go run reports to find all sorts of things that you need to go to this particular repository to go find. You can get a list of all of that to work with. In the search, I went through all the different search capabilities as part of the overview. They're all done from here. When you perform a search from here and you get the list of results here, you can go back over here and do things, or you can select something here and click the edit, and it'll open up that person's edit page to go edit it. And then you can continue to work down. The list of results does not get updated as you make changes. It'll only get updated if you clear the results or rerun the search as you go do other things. And the print will allow you to save it to a file if you want to work off that. And when you're on the advanced search, if you build a set of rules of what you want to search for, and you can immediately create a group using those same rules over here. And the publish page is where you find all the reports and the book and the website and the interface with TreeShare, that's Ancestry and Family Search. Actually, these two are also right here. This is the Family Search connection, and this is the Ancestry TreeShare connection. So you don't even have to go to the publish page. You can just click on these icons to open them up. And the tools page these are primarily tools that will work across the database to do things. Some of these tools can get you into big trouble, which is why they're in this separate page. Many of these can modify multiple records or pieces of information with one click of a button. The tools like delete everyone in a group, or change a fact type for everyone, or remove a fact type, which is why for each run selected tool option here, right next to it is a button to go make a backup of your database. And for the really dangerous ones, like delete everyone in a group, there's even an important note in red to remind you that you might really want to do a backup before proceeding. And my personal recommendation, every time you're going to use a tool that affects more than data for one person, you probably want to make a backup before you do it, just in case. Because there is no undo function in RootsMagic. Your only option for undoing something is to restore your last backup. And that's why I strongly recommend making the backup if you're not 100% confident on whatever action you're about to take, or you're not willing to redo however many hours of work you've done since the last time you closed the program. And so the other tools can help you clean up your data, identify things that are no longer used, and you can make them kind of a to-do list of things you need to go clean up. So the very last thing to know about RootsMagic is the preferred way to exit the program. In Windows, you would come up here and you click on the X, and in settings, there's a setting to be prompted to ask for a backup when you exit. When you click on the X, the prompt comes up. And the other setting I recommend is to have it put today's date at the end of the file name so that you don't overwrite previous backups from other days. And if you're doing multiple backups in the same day, you can put a dash number at the end of the file name before making it back up. And then you would click on the backup to create your backup on your way out. If you go over to File and close the file before closing down the program, you do not get prompted to make a backup, which is why the preferred way is to just click the X, get prompted, decide based on whatever it is you did since you opened the program, whether you should make a backup or not, make your backup, and then it closes the program. And on a Mac computer, you would be clicking on the red dot in the, I believe it's the upper left-hand corner. And you go from there. And this ensures that you perform safe work with your program. So anyway, let me go back here. Whoops. So key takeaways that I want to leave you with today. RootsMagic can support all experience levels, family research and family tree complexity. It has tools so you can record, manage, and share your research. There's great technical support available for the product, including the online help, RootsMagic tech support, and it's a very active online community of users helping other users through both the publicly viewable RootsMagic community and the private RootsMagic user group on Facebook. The current version of RootsMagic is version 11. It runs on both Windows and Mac computers. It's a great value when you consider all the capability you get. The free version has no time or size constraints, just capability and feature limits. I encourage everyone to download and install it and play around with it to get a feel for the user interface and the core feature set. And now that you've gotten a high-level overview of RootsMagic's key features and seen how easy it is to record basic family history information, I leave further exploration of the RootsMagic and its more advanced features to each of you. And if you decide RootsMagic may be right for you and you want to learn more about all its features, go RootsMagic SIG, where we learn how to use it together. And so at this time, we're going to go pick the winner of our door prize, a RootsMagic 11 license key donated by RootsMagic Company. After the winner is selected, I'll contact them later today using your registration email address to get the necessary information so that I can pass it on to RootsMagic, and then RootsMagic will email the license key directly to the winner. So Jeff, if you can go ahead and pause the recording, as there's no need to share the. Okay, so let me just go back. So can one compare two databases for differences? Yes, there is a file compare capability, and it works best if the two files are similar or originated from the same original source and you're trying to compare one from one date to another, but it will work with two completely different files, although it has a harder time trying to marry things up because it's not always one-to-one. But it is there, and it's pretty good. It's not as good as the syncing function with Ancestry, but it works in a similar manner. And then I have another one. If I downloaded 3 existing trees from Ancestry, can RootsMagic combine those trees? Yes. However, each Ancestry tree would need to be downloaded into a separate RootsMagic file. So if you have 3 trees, you'll end up with 3 RootsMagic files. I would recommend you create a new 4th empty RootsMagic file, and then you would use the function called drag and drop to drag the data from Ancestry tree number 1 in the RootsMagic Ancestry tree number 1 file, drag that data into the empty file, and then based on how much duplicate is in the other 2 files, you would either drag the entire contents of tree number 2's data into the same file, or you may decide, rather than trying to clean up a lot of duplicates, if you know they're duplicates, where all the sources and facts are identical, you could prune and just drag over branches that you select that you want to add to tree number 1 and kind of build from there. Or you can drag the contents of all 3 trees into that empty tree, and then you have to go through and merge the duplicate people. Actually, the order, and it's in the SIG handout in the back, but the recommendation is to merge and clean up your places and merge and clean up your source citations before attempting to merge people. And you'll avoid creating more duplication issues if you clean up the data on the separate pages before you start trying to clean up the people themselves. But it can be done, yeah. And then once you have it all merged, you would then, if you wanted it on Ancestry, you would upload that new merged files data to a brand new Ancestry tree number 4. And then you can use the tree share function to keep that new tree on Ancestry in sync with the data in your merged RootsMagic file. Because each RootsMagic file can only be associated with a single Ancestry tree, although a single Ancestry tree can actually be downloaded to multiple RootsMagic files. But you have to start with one or the other and then upload, download to the other side to create the initial connections. And then from that point, you can pass the data back and forth between them using tree share, one change at a time. Let's see, I think that's it for questions. Are there anyone else have any questions? That's all I see in the chat, unless I missed one. I think that's it. Okay. So this would be the point to save the chat if you want a copy of it. And if you're unable to save the chat because of the device you're using and you want it, you can go ahead and send me an email at the SIG email address, and I'll be happy to forward a copy to you. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's presentation. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to send them to the SIG email address. And Jeff, you can stop recording the presentation.